Okay, recording started. Welcome everyone. So your class is about to begin.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Munade Ogenemaru, but for the purpose of and for dexterity's sake, please just call me Maru. So basically, we'll be going over a couple of things this evening, and it's basically going to be a walkthrough of how the platform Power BI feels like and looks like. Then we'll just go over about two other things that have to do with handling of data. So this is a data analytics class. So I have in class Tommy Day, right?
Yes.
And please, can I have? Okay. So please just walk with me. If there is any
Okay.
reason to call me back, please do. And at times, when it seems I'm fast, just breathe in and let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so to start with, I believe you already have a basic idea of what data analytics is.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we'll just dive straight into the tool we'll be using for data analytics, which is called Power BI. So, do you have the Power BI desktop downloaded already?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, so let's dive right in. So, for you, I would love if you walk along with me. So, sometimes I might be uh, carrying out steps that I need you to carry out alongside so that you could ask questions. So to start with, this is the Power BI interface. This entire screen you see here is the Power BI interface. So every single time I talk about the ribbon, this is what I'm talking about, this upper end of your screen. That's what I'm referring to when I talk about the ribbon. Now,
Yeah.
Power BI has three views. I like to call them views, but a couple of people like to call them uh, approaches or division. So if you come here to the side on your extreme left, you can see reports what I highlighted. So reports
Yes.
basically has to do with the visualization and how your data is going to be visualized. And we have data, which is the second. So data simply shows us the data, how it actually looks. So don't forget that in this world, the most common form of data is in tables. The best form of storing and processing data is mostly in tables. So in Power BI, every single data that you import into Power BI and is loaded into Power BI comes in form of a table, which you can see here in data. Then under model, this has to do with the relationship between your data. So for those that are familiar with, so do you have any background of database? So basically, people that with little with background in database can mistaken it for foreign keys, but they are not foreign keys. It's simply relationships between your data. That has to do with the model. So the relationship between your data is called a data model. Now,
Okay.
would be looking at the features that Power BI has. So if you come here under filters, filters simply as it sounds in every sense has to do with cross-sectioning your data, which has to do with filtering out your data based on certain values or based on certain entities. Now, these filters work on three levels. It works on the level of visual because we do okay. Works on the level of visual. It works on the level of the page, which is this entire page. And if you add another page to it, it works on the level of all pages. So basically, this is how the interface looks like. So under here, you have your visualizations to select from. And here is where you have your drill throughs and your values. Now under fields, this is where you have access to the data. This is where the data appears on this report uh, view. This is where your data appears. So it is where you look at if you want to just have an idea of your data, or this is where you also pick, and this is where you also pick your data from to work with. Now we've looked at that. Now let's look at building blocks of Power BI. So basically, Power BI is actually a combination of data analysis, data aggregation, data sharing, and cloud integration. So each of these things that I've mentioned, for data analysis, it has basically has to do with your the analysis of your data. For data aggregation, it's simply because Power BI enables us to gather data from or get data from multiple sources and combine into one data model. It gives us the ability to aggregate data into a single model. So about data sharing and cloud integration, this has to do with the cloud or the Power BI service side of things, where we can publish our work to our Power BI service. And we could also embed that in websites, depending on the level of the subscription or your security that you have. So now we'll talk about next the building blocks of Power BI. So for the building blocks of Power BI, we have number one, data sets. We have data sets, building blocks of Power BI or building blocks. Yeah, building blocks of Power BI. We have data sets.
Okay.
We have visualization.
Okay.
We have reports.
Report.
We
Okay.
have dashboards, and we have tiles. So I'll go over that
Files.
again.
Files.
Tiles.
Okay.
Tiles, tiles. So a data set is simply a collection of related data. So
Yeah.
even if it's about 100 different tables, as long as this data are related together in Power BI, we call that a data set. So a data set is made up of a data model. So the connection in it is called the data model. The way it is related is called the data model, whilst uh, the the collection of that data model is called a data set. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so now one thing I want you to keep in mind every time and all the time in data analysis is that your analysis is never greater than your data. You'll hear me
Okay.
say this time and time again. Everything you do as a data analyst is never greater than your data. Your data is, in fact, your data is the centerpiece. If your data falls apart, your entire analysis falls apart, your entire predictions fall apart. So the inferences you make cannot be gotten from any other place outside your data. So whenever you talk as a data analyst, you should always quote your data. That is the difference between inference and assumption. Inferences are always made based off something, while assumptions uh, are just conjured. So you make inferences as a data analyst, you do not make assumptions. So that means that you can never say that, okay, something without your data saying that thing. So we've talked about data sets. Next is visualization. So any graphical representation of data, this is where most people might get it wrong. Any graphical representation of data, including tables and matrices, is a visualization. So the entire concept of keeping data in tables is so that it will be understandable. So any graphical representation of your data is a visualization. Now, in Power BI, you can have several pages, not just in Power BI. but also in real life scenarios, a collection of these visualizations across pages, a collection of this visualization on one or more pages is called a report. So for those of sorry, Tomide.
Yes, I can hear you.
So what setting do you work in? So what setting? What
I'm
setting do you?
actually a data analyst
Okay, you are already a
or a
data
marketing
analyst.
agent. Yes,
Okay,
but
so
I don't use Power BI. I just use Excel. I'm very good with Excel. So I'm trying to integrate Power BI with other softwares to enhance my productivity.
okay, so that makes it easier to for us to work together. So a report simply is these your visualizations across one or more pages. Now,
Yeah.
generally, your report cannot be shared. Take note. Generally, your report cannot be shared. A dashboard, however, is a collection of reports on a single page that can be shared. Sorry, it's a collection of visualizations rather on a single page that can be shared. So I can say a dashboard is like a summary of your report. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
So a report is just simply a group of visualizations across one or more pages. You can actually share your reports within your organization in Power BI. But your dashboard is what can be shared over various platforms and various modes and all of that. So, and your dashboard is more like a summary of that your report because it exists on a single page.
Okay.
Okay, so going over that would be looking at tiles. So this is a tile. A tile is simply the backdrop for a single visualization.
Okay.
So this is a tile. You can expand the tile. You can walk around with the shape. That is a tile.
Okay.
Now we'll be looking at some other sessions of the tool, which is the Power BI service. So do you have a work mail?
Yes, I do have a work mail.
So you've
My
signed up for the
personal work mail.
yeah. What I mean by that is a mail that is not hosted by a general email service. So a mail that is attached to a domain name.
That's my office mail.
Yes.
Yes, I do have one.
Okay, so you signed up for the on the platform on Power BI platform, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, to sign up, let's go together app.powerbi.com. So
App the Power BI. Come on.
so did you see this
App, app the
signing
Power.
option?
Okay. Yeah, dot com. Loading.
Okay, let me log out so that we can do that together.
Okay. It's actually loading first. Okay. Sign in. Yeah. Okay.
Or sign up.
Okay, I should sign up instead.
Or yes, sign up. Okay, I've used this account a couple of times, so I just have to click.
Come on. Sign. Mine is not showing a sign. Sign up. It's not showing a sign. It's only sign. Strictly sign.
Okay, click on sign in
Okay.
because normally it's expecting that as a Microsoft account.
Sorry.
I said normally it's
No.
expecting.
You have to click on try. Like,
When you click on sign in, you put that your work mail.
Okay.
So in this case,
Okay.
then you put in your password. And it signs you in.
It's not going.
Have you ever used that to sign in on a Microsoft platform ever?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Have you ever used?
excuse me, can you hear me? Challenge you are having is you haven't created an account first. So what you need to do is you have to click on try for free. You'd see it beside the sign in button. Have you seen it? If you go to the home page,
Okay,
when you click on
am I
try free,
there's no try. You're just saying already have an account, sign in. Then at the top right hand
no,
corner,
go
you
back
have
to the,
buy now.
That means you're using taking a look at the new look. There's no.
okay, let me share.
He actually, he actually is right. This is how it looks now. See, can
Okay,
you
that's
come down?
changed.
Yes. So you come down.
Use it.
No, scroll down. Can you see that,
Okay.
Tommy? Scroll
Yes.
down, enter your
Yes.
work address, and use it free.
Okay.
Have you found it now?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm typing in first.com. Okay. So I use it for free.
Yeah. So it's going to just ask you a couple of questions, then you have access.
Okay. It's loading. Please hold on.
So you're almost in now.
Yeah, I'm putting in my. It's asking for my phone number.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the verification code.
Okay, so tell me, what kind of data do you work with most often?
Actually, my company does monitoring and evaluation for Nestle and Honeywell. So we help them with to check out how their products are doing in the market. So I get
Mm,
raw data from field.
okay, so it's field data that you go for. Okay,
Yes.
so you store that in Excel sheets, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so okay, for you that's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I said for you that's going to be okay.
Actually, I haven't gotten the verification code.
Okay,
So
so while that's still pending, so this is just how the interface looks here. So you could also work directly from the cloud service. Now, this is the Power BI service, and here most of your processing is done online.
yeah.
And here, without a subscription, you are a little limited when it comes to data sharing, but there is no limit to your data aggregation, and but there's also a limit to your data processing on the cloud. But your data analysis is not hampered at all. So if you want to do your data processing, you are constrained to the Power BI desktop.
Okay.
But now this is where it gets more interesting. Unlike in Tableau, where after your work, all your visualization and everything, you cannot save it without going to the cloud service. In
Yeah.
Power BI, you can save your work offline. So you can work entirely offline.
Okay.
So that is one of the major preferences of most people who use Power BI. And since Power BI is a Microsoft product, this is another line where Mac users and Linux users have to use virtual machines to have access to the Power BI desktop, which gives us the Power Query where we can do our data engineering and data cleaning. Now, let's
Okay.
first of all look at the Power BI service. So I guess, are you in now? If you are not yet in, you can still resend the code.
It just
So now on the home,
yeah. I
this
just resent the code. So
up here, these two are dashboards.
okay.
So for someone like you that okay, so you let's say you are working on Nestle products. So Nestle has a couple of products, Milo.
Yes.
So you can see the total profit.
Nescafe. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So to have when you have something like this where you can look at profits, the profit margin, how much
Yeah.
is the total profit by the product, and you have this on the home page of probably a website that you use for reporting.
Yeah.
So every single time, they don't have to come to meet you. So this one, you can keep it uploaded real time.
Okay.
That is one of the advantages that most people would not see that Excel cannot give you. This real time feel of Power BI. So even if they come by 1 a.m. onto the website where you embedded this visual, and they come
Yeah.
to that website, they would see the most recent data. They can see their profit margin and how much. So for me, I prefer to do things just based on profits. That's how I prefer to teach. So you can also share and export. So I have not subscribed. My subscription just ended, so I'll do that by tomorrow or next. I should have done that. Now export. You can have a couple of other functions. Now, when you click on a visual from your dashboard, it takes you to that visual in your report.
Okay.
Now, this is just for dashboards and how they work. So we'll go in depth into that. Now, after the dashboards, we have your favorites and your frequents. So these are things that you work with pretty often, and you can star them So you have starred works here. So I didn't set any level of sensitivity. So you could actually set up restrictions on your data. Now, apps. For apps, this is just where you could get already built applications, or you could also build yours with Power Apps, which is another Microsoft product. Now we have your shared, and this is the Learning Center, and your workspace.
Okay.
Now this is my own workspace. So in my workspace, I have a couple of visuals. So remember when I talked about the data sets? So when you
Yeah.
upload or publish your work, it gets published as a data set and a report. Now from this report, so okay, I've not updated this in a while, but I'll try my best to update that. So this was just a COVID-19 dashboard that I created that I was using personally from the comfort of my house without having to stand up to track
Okay.
COVID-19 across the world. So here I can pin these visuals to a dashboard really quickly. So existing dashboard and pin is to training. And here it is. So I'll remove that. So basically this is what the interface looks like.
Yeah.
And this is how it feels like. So we'll be going. So once you're done, we'll be coming back here. I'll drop a link. I'll give you access to resources. Tomide,
Yes.
so you're done with setting up your Power BI service?
We're actually waiting. Saying I'm waiting.
You're still waiting for the verification code.
No. I actually have gotten the verification code. So
Okay,
I'm filling in my details.
uh, Tokpe, hi, Tokpe, hi, Tokpe, Tokpe, okay, Tokpe, please, can you hear me? Okay, I'm sure you can hear me, Tokpe, so I need to know what stage you're on right now so that we can move. We're about to move to the next thing.
I think he's having challenges on muting his mic, so it
Okay,
might
you can use the
be
comment
a little
section. You can.
issue.
I know. I actually just want to
Yes,
know
he's going.
where exactly he is. So if he has been able
Yes,
to sign up on the Power BI for the Power BI service, and whether he has been to
yes, he
sign up
has.
on and set up his Power BI
He has.
desktop.
He has gotten to the dashboard. He has done everything, and he has gotten to the dashboard successfully. So
Okay.
you need to carry him along from there too.
Okay.
So
So
and it says you are going at a fast pace for him, so you have to take it slow, but
okay.
not too
So
slow. Yeah.
I'm about to. Okay, just give me a while. Let me see. So I'll drop a share link. I'll drop a share link right now. Mm, Okay, guys. So one moment. Okay, so I'm dropping the link So I've dropped the link to the resources we'll be using. So I'll be uploading a couple of files there over time for the class. So I'm going to copy. So the link has been dropped. Now let's get back to this. So now we'll look at getting data. So for getting data, we're talking about importing data into Power BI. I hope we all can hear me and you can see my screen clearly. So Tomide. Hi, Tomide. Hi.
We can hear you.
Okay. So now we'll talk about getting data. So to get data or to get data from a single source into Power BI, you simply come up to the ribbon and click on Get Data. So this will bring up the list of options for to get data. But if it's something that is already existing here, so for example, right now I just want to get an Excel sheet. So I'll just come here and click on Excel, and it takes me straight single table in Excel. So I'm going to be getting in practice that XLSX. So I believe we all should have that already. So now we have a list of different. So for those of us that are familiar with Excel, this is basically an Excel
I'm
workbook.
sorry. I can't see your screen. Please share your screen again. Or maybe I'm the only one. Okay, I can see it now. Don't worry. Thank you.
Okay, so now for those of us familiar with Excel, this is practically an Excel workbook. So it contains different sheets, and those sheets, each of those sheets are interpreted as a single table. Now, remember when I said your data set can consist of numerous tables? But it's more than just that. Your data set can also consist of numerous data sources of different types. Now, I'll be showing that to us in a moment. So now we're just getting customer, products, and sales, for example, and load them in. Now, when you click on load, what it does is that it imports it directly into Power BI. Well, it should be. Now, this is the difference. When you click on transform data, so before a data model is even created, you have the chance to clean the data, or as we call it in Power BI, transform the data. So the process of data cleaning in Power BI is mostly called data transformation. So you transform that data. Now, to transform the data, we have a whole long list of options. The list is really, really long. So we'll be looking at this on its own another day. So for now, we'll just close and apply without doing anything. But this is the Power Query interface, which is the kitchen or the data engineering aspect where most of the data engineering goes on within Power BI. So you have the options to manipulate your data here in Power BI. So this is it. Close and apply. And after that, it now creates the data model. Now we'll be looking at that. So if you look at this, the speed at which this goes depends on, so creating connection in model. The speed at which this process goes, it depends on your processor. And in cases where you are getting or scraping the data directly from your website, it also depends on your internet connection. So we'll be looking at getting data from different sources, not just Excel sheets. So after doing the one for Excel sheets, we'll go online and scrape data. So it downloads it, checks the relationship between each of them, and boom, loaded as a data set. Now, these data sets here consist of three tables, and now those three tables are related to each other. Now we can view those tables individually. Can view it. Now this is where we do our visualization, as I said earlier. So now we'll look at connecting to multiple sources. To connect to multiple sources, all you simply do is get another data. So if you are connecting to multiple sources, you just go and get the data over and over again. Or in cases like when you are scraping data, you could either write a DAX query that will help out with that, or you could simply use some built-in functions. So we'll look at that function when we get there. So get data, let's go get a CSV. We have CSV, connect. So for example, we have USA housing. So let's see if I have. Okay. So you can keep on getting in data from numerous sources. So this is directed at maybe, for example, you have your data stored on, okay, you see data that you want on a website, and another data that you have to analyze that is related to that data or related to that project is on an Excel sheet. You do not have to worry about that. You just scrape each of them and get your data from your Excel sheet. It will automatically detect the relationships between them. So this is what one of another of the advantages that you get in Power BI that you may not get in numerous other tools. So this one was really fast, although it had a whole lot of rows, about 5,000 rows, but it was really fast because data is small and there are no relationships. So now let's look at getting data from the web, which is popularly known as web scraping. So we'll just do basic web scraping with Power BI. We'll not be going deep into it today. So you could just search for web, because sometimes finding it really funny. So web, click on web, connect. When you click on connect, you have basic and advanced. Now under basic, you have the option to put in the URL, and you could also type in a parameter, which would, as for parameter, is most likely is like giving conditions to that your data and typing in how you want it to come out. So let's get back here. So let's just pick a website. So for those of us that can see, let's say our junior, junior.com ng / phones, for instance. Mm, okay. Let me just go to the junior site. Go to home. So now I will simply, so this is the junior site. Now I will simply copy this link. I want to script this site now. Now this is how it works. So I'll paste this here. Okay. So now this is how it works. Basically all sites, and I repeat all sites are basically stored in tables somewhere in the backend. Every single part of your site is stored in a table somewhere in the backend. So what it simply does is it extracts those tables and brings them for you to in the tabular form. So let's look at that. So okay, so it's going to so access for talking about accessing of web content and different levels of security. So anonymous is mostly okay for almost every site. But in cases where you might need to script a site that requires you to use your Windows login, it is advised you use this. So now you can select which level to apply those login details to. So this is basically using your Windows login details. So in sites that require you to sign in with your own personal username and password for those sites. So for example, I can sign in as using my own personal email and password, my own personal username and password for the site, drumia.com.ng. So it's going to be scraping the data that is specific to me on that site. So what exactly would come up if I am the one logged in? And for developers that would already have an API, so you just put in your API key, or for those that you have to use an organizational account, you sign in using organizational account. But most sites, anonymous is just okay. So we'll connect. So as you can see, it's loading like a normal site, waiting that you will come in. It's loading like a site. It also depends, as I said earlier, on your internet connection and your processor speed. Okay. So the connection has been established. It's still loading. Now, this is the part that we really need to watch for, knowing exactly what to load in. So in data analysis, this is the reason why it is advised to work with a domain expert. So the person can actually tell you exactly what is important for that project and what isn't, because most times you cannot know. So now you have table one. We have table two. Each of them contain different data. So just imagine having to go through each of these tables one after the other to look for exactly the data you need to work. So you go over this table. So now we know that the most important table to us is table one so far. We're simply loading table one. And we also still have access to the web view of that site here. So let's get back. So now these are just all that is on table one. So We click on table 2. Let's go back to the review. So we select table 1 and bring in table 1. So because they are unrelated, our data won't show. Because they are unrelated, our data won't show any form of relationships between them. This is still a data set. All of this, including table 1 and USA housing, although they are not having any relationship with each other, it is still a data set, all 5 of them, because although they do not have any relationship with each other, they still form a part of the data model. I hope that is understood. So all 5 tables are still part of the data set. So the group of that data is the data set that is being used, is the data set. So I hope we understand that part. So do we have any question before we move? Tamidi?
Yes, I can hear you.
Any questions so far?
None for now. None
So
for
far,
now.
no question either. So we can comfortably get data from different sources right now.
Yes.
Okay. So I would love us to import all the CSV files in a separate Power BI desktop. So in a separate PBX file, import all the CSV files that have been given. Okay, so at this point, we'll be looking at the data cleaning aspect, since that is the very first stage in data analysis. Your data has to be clean, because sometimes you can be giving dirty data. Like dirty data will mean data that is either too bulky or it makes no sense. So now we'll be talking about best use cases for data in Power BI. In Power BI, it is better if your data has more rows and less columns. So what by that we mean is slim, tall data. Let's look at that. Transform data is how we get to, let me go back again. So to get to the Power Query editor where you clean your data, on the top ribbon you simply come here and click on transform data. And you click on transform data. Now you are welcome to the Power Query editor, which is the interface where we carry out our data cleaning. So I hope we all are here. So answers either in the comment section. Hi, Tope, can you answer in the comment section? Are you following? Are you here? Okay, so are you with me on the Power BI Power Query?
Sorry, please, I can't see your screen anymore.
Can you still see my screen?
No, I can't.
Okay. Please.
Just try resharing your screen. Just try resharing your screen.
Okay, you can't see it either.
No, I can see, but I think it's his network. But try resharing. I think everybody will be able to see it.
Please, can you see my screen? Can we see my
I can
screen?
see it now. I can see it now. Hope every other
Okay,
person can see it.
Comedy, can you
Yeah,
see
I
my
can see it.
screen?
Can see it now. I can see it now.
Top where you? Okay. So now I would love to leave us. Okay, let's go to the Power Query editor. So now in the Power Query editor, this is where the cleaning of interface of our data happens. Now, even from the Power Query editor, you could get in new data, although it is advised that you do it from outside the Power Query editor, because loading it into the Power Query editor is almost the same thing as clicking on from the Power Query editor, rather is the same thing as clicking on transform data after connecting. Okay, so basically we'll be going over some simple steps here. Before that, let's get used to the interface. On the home ribbon, we have a couple of functionalities here. We have data source settings. Now for data source settings, what it simply does is it looks at the data source and looks at the permissions given to that data source. So now we can see data sources in current file. So we can see the 3 different sources I went for, and we can edit permissions, clear permissions, so that we can have a good feel for our data. Now we have, okay, all these are under properties. So the advanced editor uses M code to write our program, our data. So now here we have two languages that are majorly used, M and DAX. So for the most part, we'll be using DAX, but sometimes there's a thin line between writing M code and writing DAX code. We get to that also over the course of this class. Now, under manage, we're looking at our table, which has to do with the currently selected table. Now we can choose columns, skip rows, remove rows, and the sorting of our data, which most times I don't like messing around with. And we can split a column, we can group. So all these functionalities, and okay, for this side, I would advise that we don't really mess around with the text analytics and the machine learning models, because doing this you would need internet connection. So I'll just give us a brief view of how it looks like. So I'll have to sign in to my Azure account. So you can also connect your machine learning models. So this is for predictive analysis. So Tommy, I believe you're in the master class. What? Okay, so now under the transform ribbon, we have most of our transformatory functions here. Now, under here, all of this help us with our data transformation. So by data transformation, we mean keeping our data in a format that Power BI can work with. So for that, we'll be talking about data types. So Power BI basically has 3 data types. Power BI basically has 3 data types. 2 are primary data types, and 1 is a secondary data type. Now, those data types are further divided. Now, let's look at them. For the data types in Power BI, we have numeric, non-numeric, and date time. Now, for the numeric data type, we're talking about what we can see on the upper end of the drop down for data types: decimal number, fixed decimal number, whole number, and percentage. For the secondary data type, which is date time, you can see time zone, and duration. This has to do with chronological uh, or time related data. Now we now have non-numeric. Under non-numeric, we have text, true or false, and binary. So most times these data we can have under the add column functionalities that will help us with our column or data management. Now under view, I can take a look at the column distribution, take a look at the column profile, which will be at the bottom. So for this, sometimes it's just to have a look at what your data looks like. So from here, you can start your entire analysis from this place. So now, from what we can see, I can practically change the homeowner flag to a binary. So I can come back under home, go to data type, change that to binary. But boom, it hit us with an error. Now, this is Power BI for you. Certain times, it is better to leave the pre-built in functionalities. except in cases where it is distinctively clear that doesn't match. Because in Power BI, this tool gives us those data as they are based on what it can work with. So over time, you this kind of functionalities don't work in this kind of cases. Now, a candid example is what I just did to show us just now. So changing it to binary simply means either 0 or 1. But in Power BI, it is interpreted when you're talking about binary functionalities, it's interpreting it as like machine code binary 0 1 0 1 0 1, where each of those functionalities are present. So in binary, you most likely cannot have a 0. So you are going to be having 0 1 1 0. So I hope you understand that. So each of these data types are things that we can only get to use more often and become better at using them. So we looked about column profile, which gives us an idea of what a column looks like. So I'll undo this. Column distribution that shows us the distinct values and the unique values. By distinct values, it means what values can be seen, and by unique values, how many of them are not occurring repeatedly. So how many different values can be seen? So in this case, the 5 distinct values. So from what we can see already, we have skilled, manual, management, professional, clerical, and see the last one yet. But basically, that's what it has to do with. Okay. So now to get it, we just simply go to our column profile and manual. So this is basically what it just looks like. This is we just can from here get an idea of what our data feels like before even touching our data. So let me so if I show white space. So white space simply shows us the M code that makes up our data. So all this code here is written in M, and this is what makes up the data. So if I undo and check this, so that's basically where our data is. Okay, now we've talked about view, talked about out column, now talk about tool. So basically this is just to check how fast your data is running and how what you can do to customize the data further. So let's look at a couple of these. So for that we have removing. So let's go to the sales, see if we have any and see. So basically you just look for tables that aren't as useful. So this is table one. We would look at this. So now automatically Power BI uses the first row in your data as its headers. This is an automatic transformation in Power BI, and it's a really dicey and most times important one. So you can manually rename these columns by double clicking. You can rename the column to phone name. So this is in cases where doesn't have, so now we can say phone price. So we have rating, we have category. So we just look at the data and you can basically have an idea. So this one, we're practically working on real life data here. And for this, we'll just drop this entire column because it's not useful. Now we can do that by simply choosing the column, right clicking and removing column. Remove. So now I'm looking at the data to know what kind of filling I want to do for this. So am I filling up or am I filling down? And if I'm filling up or filling down, how am I filling up or filling down? So now for under this category, I simply right click, come under fill, and I say fill down. So you can see now I have landline phones, which is apparently correct from the PubX. But as we can see, the first one is incorrect. And up here, where we have no, we also have an issue. So this can be rectified using DAX. So let's undo this. But what happens if I fill up? The opposite of what I just did happens. It fills upwards. So fill again, fill up. Now we have the wrong categorization. But basically this is it. Now let's fill down. Then look at the replace values. So replace no and replace it with small screen. Small screen phones. So now you can see that functions. I did that. That's the reason why I didn't talk when I was in that, so we don't end up doing it too. So functions in Power BI are mostly done on a on a column basis. So when you're carrying out a function in Power BI, regardless of whether it is you right click a particular row on that column, that function most times, very few functions in the Power Query editor are not done on a column basis. Very, very few functions are not done on a column basis. So I'll undo that. Okay, so tomorrow we keep the session short today because this is supposed to be an introductory session. As you can see, Power BI is an easy tool, and since you already have some background in Excel, Tomide, tomorrow we'll continue with data cleaning, and we'll be looking at appending and merging of queries, and we'll be working more with a single sheet. So, Dennis, sorry, Desmond,
I can hear you.
do we have any questions so far?
No question from the chat here. No question.
Okay, so that will be it for today. We'll look deeper into data cleaning tomorrow. So we've already handled the introductory session, which was section one, and we've handled getting data, which was section two. So tomorrow we'll be looking at data cleaning more in depth. So talk about any questions before I round off. So now we have the next 20 minutes to answer questions. Any questions at all regarding anything we've done? This is the
Okay,
time
he
to
said
ask so
he
we can
said
go over
none.
it. Huh?
He
Okay,
said
none
none.
for now.
Yes.
So
Eh,
that'll be a wrap on this
yes.
one. So continue from
I just want to mention something. So we are going to be sharing a form, a feedback form on the group, and the feedback form is what we will use to collect data to help us improve our services. So after every class, we recommend that everybody fills the feedback form. So it's a very short form. So it's just one answer, one answer, one answer. So I'm going to share the form at the end of the class. And since there are no other questions here, we would have to end this class. So in the next 5 minutes, we would end the class. Thank you very much for making our time today to come for this first introductory class. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.